Hey guys, M.K.S here again. Back with another video. Hope everyone's doing well. If you saw part one of this video, this is obviously part two of it. But I just started to wake up at that time because when I just got up out of bed, I was literally, I felt I don't know how a zombie feels, but it probably won't be far off. But anywho, so this is part two of the video where I made a list about my plans for today. And hopefully helping other people, and how I hope people support my channel, not just for me, but for me to help other people. Obviously, if lots of people watch my channel, I feel flattered, but also I'll be able to help more people. As I said before, that I only wish to have enough money to live on, like enough to pay for, to become independent, come off benefits, and become self-reliant and independent, and as long as I have a shelter over my head, enough to eat and enough to drink, it's pretty much all I really need, I think. But maybe some for a rainy day, but as long as I don't become homeless or whatever, most of the money I'd give away if I make it. That's assuming if my channel ever grows big enough. But so by supporting this channel, you help me to help others, whether you believe me or not, but that's the truth. Anyway, sorry. Often I think of this thing called what I call a timeline, and it's not to be laid in stone, but sometimes I think the timeline can be a bit boring, what I call my timeline, but it's basically like something like, say for instance, wake up at 8 o'clock, have breakfast, at 9 o'clock start writing till about 10 or 11, and then I don't know, say go for a walk, and then do some writing, and then make a YouTube video or something like that. So say 8 to 9, wake up, 9 to 10, 9 to 11, do some writing, and then 11 till 12, go for a walk, 12 till 1, do some writing, 1 till 2, do some cleaning, tidying up, and 2 to 3, or 2 to 4, well that'll be a bit long, but say 2 to 3, do some YouTube videos, and then 3 to 4 or something like that, do some more, or 3 to 7, do some more writing, or 3 to 6, do more writing, then 6 to 7, go for a walk, and then 7 to 8, go to sleep, and then 8 till 9, have dinner, and then do more writing till I fall asleep or whatever, till 12:01. So it's a rough guideline to tell me, like, sometimes it could be by 9 o'clock I hope to have achieved such and such. So hope that makes sense. But anyway, I wasn't sure whether to share it, but I thought maybe some other people it might benefit you and give you an idea of how to organise or plan a day. Maybe you do it a bit differently, I'd imagine. But anyway, wow, I've waffled on a little bit, but sorry, that intro was over 3 minutes long, so I'll get on with the list. So this is a continuation, as I say, from part one, so I hope you check part one out if you stumbled across this video, and part 3 when it comes out. Anywho, and I'd love to have people sharing ideas about how to help more poor people. As I said before, and as I've been talking about in April and May and June, as well, as going to be supporting people from Asia and Asian nations to network together, people from the Asian diaspora, hopefully helping people from Asia and things like that, and maybe mentors and things like that. But anyway, I hope to come to those sorts of things ASAP. But so onto the continuation of this, number 11. And I apologise actually, because I make an apology because I think in my previous video I said I might not do any more lists, but they help me to organise myself. So if I do some videos with lists first, and then later on I can do videos that are not on the list, but because I've talked about the list, it will help me to organise those other videos, because like the lists help me to organise my thoughts. I hope that makes sense. So anyway, but I'm going to probably go through this quite quick because I don't want the video to be too long. Number 11, I hope to support innovators, ideas people, inventors, industrialists, technology. No, sorry, not technologists, but entrepreneurs and people like that across Asia, across Asian nations. Because most of the technology work we should do to support African nations. But anyway, so supporting Asia and other areas, and work on. Sort of network with other people to talk about what are the best ways to support Asia like Asian scientists, writers, authors, and other sort of projects. Number 12, I hope to encourage people like Asian people that become successful from the diaspora who live in other countries to go and mentor people in Asia and help them to improve their lives. I hope to support people from all across Asia, rich and poor, but I especially hope to support poor, but I hope to support as many projects as possible, generally, to help the whole continent. Excuse me. But yeah, I hope to encourage mentors and people like that, role models, people from Asia, talk about what Asians make them proud, what famous Asians around the world make them proud, and things like that. Number 13, I hope to see like or find out about. I've been watching a few videos like from the Chen Dynasty and Off the Great Wall and channels like that about creepypastas or urban legends. Creepypastas mean urban legends, but for the older generations, urban legends is what they used to call them. I think they mean the same thing. Anyway, and scary stories and videos from Asia and things like that. Excuse me. I've seen a few of those on YouTube. So I hope to find out more about more of those. 14, I hope to look at how Asia can solve its problems. Like, I think if they work more closely with Africa, they can support each other politically. So, like, if America or Europe tries to make things difficult for China or countries like in Asia, all over Asia, like recently I've heard that people want to sue China for £6 trillion or dollars, I think it's dollars, for the coronavirus problems, and saying that they've been covering up or whatever. So I think it would make sense for China to work with other Asian nations and also with nations in Africa to fight back these claims, because I think they could always say, would Europe or America have done the same if they had the same problem, or is it being a bit unfair on them because they're from Asia, so it's easier to pick on them, or if China should pay compensation for supposed cover-ups or not doing the job very well. Like I heard of a foundation called the Henry Jackson Foundation, which seems quite a right-wing foundation, and they seem to be having a go at China. But I wonder if the same thing happened in the UK, where an illness or a virus took off and people kept it quiet, would they be talking about the same thing? I'm not too sure. So I think they're being a bit unfair on Asian nations like China. And I think if China should have to pay compensation, then surely the US or Australia or Britain or other countries like that should have to pay compensation to people like in Iraq or Vietnam for historical. I know they were a long time ago, but they still affect a lot of things today. They still affect a lot of poverty today. And I disagree with a lot of things about China, I'll be honest, about the human rights things or some of the things they've done. Their treatment of people from Africa or even other Asian nations or land grabs. So I disagree with a lot of things like that, if I'm going to be honest. But I know I've probably gone a bit off track, but I think it's a bit unfair that they and other Asian nations and African nations are targeted. And maybe if they network together and work together politically, they can support each other, like China, Russia, India, and countries like that. Because, as I say, I know these things were historical, but some of them are not that long ago, like Iraq, or even Iraq is still going on. There's been a lot of damage. So I think if China should have to pay reparations, then surely some of that money anyway should go towards countries like Iraq or Vietnam, or should China be reparated for the annexation, or it's called the dividing of their country, like Hong Kong and things like that, or things like that, or discriminations they faced or their citizens have faced, like people from the Chinese diaspora or Asian diaspora, should they be reparated as well? Because surely it's unfair if China has. I hope that makes sense. But so I'd love to know what people's thoughts on that. I'd love to know people's thoughts on that topic. Like, is it unfair for China to supposedly be told that they have to pay apparently $6 trillion when the Vietnamese there's still probably babies born in Vietnam now with disabilities because of what's happened in the past, and also Iraq, which is probably still going on as far as I'm aware, and lots of people lost homes and families. So if China has to pay reparations, wouldn't those people equally be able to pay probably similar amounts as well, or certainly high amounts anyway? Um, so as I said, I'd love to know what people's thoughts are about that. But if Asian and African nations look at their shared history of being colonized and oppressed, or whatever, um, then I think they could work together. Maybe China should treat the African nations and their people better, because then they can network together more, as well as other Asian nations. Number 15, as I say, I hope to focus on how I can help the poorest of the poor, and what ideas can come, like fundraising ideas, like in the future, like football games, soccer, whatever you want to call it, depending on where you are in the world. But like as an Italian fan, which I talked about before, and a Celtic fan, I'd love in the future for and I thought of this idea before the coronavirus came along, but for Celtic, Serie A or Italian football and Celtic to host fundraising events, maybe like as soon as travel resumes and people can travel and things like that, they can start doing fundraising events, or even if it's behind closed doors, or things on YouTube, or things like that, or they can do things like, I thought of an idea for like something called the 2 meter challenge, where they have to stand 2 meters apart but do like sort of activities like football challenges or whatever, or pass the ball around in a circle or a triangle, but stand 2 meters apart. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, things like that to raise funds. Also, like if people support my YouTube channel, it grows big enough, and I manage to monetize it, I can give hopefully as much of that money away as possible as well, and hope to network with other people, as I talked about before, who share the same goal. 16, I hope, as I say, I hope to learn as much as possible about what are the best ways to support people from Asia, what are things Asia needs, Asian nations, and how to support, as I say, people from slums, orphanages, people with learning disabilities, how to change perceptions and see what strengths people with learning disabilities have when they're encouraged, and things like that. 17, I hope for Asian nations to network together and think of innovative and creative ideas of how they can empower each other, and lift people out of poverty, and share goals of how they're going to help everyone to have houses and enough to eat, enough to drink, and stuff like that. So, and share those sort of goals. And I was thinking that this another quirky idea of mine is I was thinking about a project to help dyslexic people in Asia to become authors. Like many people think a dyslexic person can't become an author, but there are actually quite a few dyslexic authors in the world. But if they're discouraged, they might be put off. But with ghostwriters or things like that. So I thought this idea, like Asian dyslexic authors, using play on words, like instead of authors saying authors, but to help dyslexic people to become authors. Like I've heard of people making quirky titles like I Am Brain Brian or something, which is about dyslexic. I think I've not read the book because I don't really read much, but I've heard of it. So I thought of quirky titles like that, deliberately misspelt words. But anyway, so if you didn't think I was mad before, you probably would now. But 18, I hope for people from Asia to talk about positive things about Asia. And as I say, there's lots of things I disagree with about China, but one of the things I will commend them for is their goal, supposedly at least, to get people out of poverty in their country by this year, which is a very ambitious goal, but I commend them for trying to do that. 19, I know I take too much on, so but I'm hoping I can get as much of these things done as possible. 20, sorry if this video is too long, by the way. I did try and keep it down, but I know I was waffling a bit. But I know I was talking about mainly supporting people from Asia, but I also hope to support people from Africa in terms of technology, and how Asian nations perhaps can support Africa in technology. And this might be the best time to do so, for African nations to ask for that help, training in technology, for their people, because China and other Asian nations might need them politically to support them. I hope that makes sense, as I say, with all these ideas. Sorry if I waffled. I think that covers everything. So as ever, I'd love to know your ideas or thoughts about how to help as many people as possible, especially in Asia. Peace and love.